ongoing indictment against Michael Novak, former global head of JP Morgan, who has a RICO charge, sat for 2 days of interviews with CFTC investigators and explaining the bank's trading strategy. They said, to your knowledge, have traders at JP Morgan and the metals groups put up bids and offers to the market, which they didn't intend to execute and then pulled them? And he said, no. I don't know if that was the entire investigation. Although it makes you wonder, David Meister, who shut down the CFTC investigation into silver and has now turned up representing Michael Novak in the Department of Justice case, which would seem a little conflicting. Well, hello there, my friends. Chris Marcus here with you for Arcadia Economics on another roller coaster day in the silver market. As you can see here on the green line, silver rallied about $1 today. It says down 14 cents, although that is starting the new day and down a little bit in late night trading. But quite a rally, and certainly if anyone, we don't know who was holding stops at the 25.60 level, but certainly could have gotten spoofed out of their position here and missed out on that rally, as is common in COMEX silver trading. But fortunately, we have some updates and we will get right to it because a lot of things happening, especially with the CFTC, Reddit, silver, and much, much more. So let us dig in. Before I get started, though, would like to mention this episode is brought to you tonight by Bluestone Resources. And they actually had some exciting news recently. You can see they increased the NPV of their Serra Blanca gold project over 275%. Now looking at peak gold production of 300,000 ounces per year. As you can see in the top paragraph here, they're pleased to announce the findings of a preliminary economic assessment that highlights an optimized project which doubles the gold resource ounces and production profile and effectively triples the net present value to $907 million. As Jacqueline Dean mentions here, the new development outlines a great project which is capable of producing over 300,000 ounces of gold per year. And fortunately, Jack, I believe, is going to be joining us on the show in the next couple of weeks. Link to this is in the description field below. You can see some of the highlights there, the peak production, average life of mine, all-in sustaining cost, and net present value, and a bunch more. So, and at 1,800 gold, NPV increases to 1.3 billion. So you do have that upside. Again, as always, consult your financial advisor to make sure that might be suitable. But if you do have questions, on Wednesday morning, Bluestone's going to be doing a webinar. Opens in just about 13 hours. And that will also be in the description link below. So thank you, Bluestone, and congratulations on that news. Here we see silver at 27.85-ish. Behalf of Bluestone, we'll take a quick look at the gold price. 1712, and I'll be the first to admit, gee, when gold was crossing $2,000 and the money printing was just getting ramped up back last summer, I don't know that I would have guessed that we would have seen $1,700 gold, although my impression continues to be that something big broke early February and we're seeing damage control ever since then. I mean, the banks have been dropping the wrath of all God paper hammer in these markets, just whacking it day after day. I've been hearing a lot about the exchange stabilization fund, which would make sense. I mean, it sure seems like someone's back is up against the wall. And as you'll find out tomorrow morning, have a quick video coming out about Myanmar's gold, which the Fed denied returning on February 4th. So a lot was happening those first couple days, which enjoy digging into and researching over the next couple days, weeks, months, and years. So hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you can stay posted. Along with things like this, because we have an update on the CFTC, their investigation into social media and Reddit traders. Quick review here. This is February 23rd. Opening statement of Acting Chairman Rostam Behnam. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to comment on recent metal dynamics with respect to precious metals. I want to reiterate that we are closely monitoring recent activities in markets and on social media. I guess YouTube is social media, so I don't know how to think about this one, but I mean, there was certainly crossed through my mind at certain points. I'm like, am I in trouble because I talked about silver on social media and say they're investigating the Reddit traders rather than the banks, which we report evidence on. So I could certainly see founder of some of the Reddit groups where all I've seen is public free speech, which we'll take a quick look at. I wonder if they perceive that as a threat. And either case, we'll take a look at some of that. I thought it was also interesting. We are also closely following tragic loss of life, limited clean water, and power outages in Texas, which certainly I was living through that one. And I have plenty of information that I've not seen the CFTC comment on, but we'll leave that for now and dig into the latest CFTC news. Again, I'm going to be careful of how I phrase things, but it's getting harder for me to see a scenario in which this isn't just a division of the banks. I hope that's wrong, but we have 40 years of track record here that are not particularly good. Ronan Manley coming up on the show Thursday, yeah, which will be pretty awesome. Another great article here about how the CFTC, which ignored years of silver price manipulation, is now going after the Reddit traders, is quite Orwellian. This sign I love. I saw this and I was like, wait a second. I think we developed that hashtag got silver. Now it's on the Hollywood Hills right after I've watched Under the Silver Lake a couple of times. So feeling quite honored. Here is the CFTC. There's Russ on February 1st, getting all over the Reddit traders. But if we scroll down here a little bit, there's Gary Gensler, big favorite of everyone. And you can see the CFTC closed the third of its 3 inquiries in 2013 without taking action and talked about the implausible theories. The CFTC has never publicly commented on what Bart Chilton shared, which paints a much different story than what is written here. I continue to wonder if that would be obstruction of justice, how they have not commented on what I would consider substantially material information. Although Avi Perry, interesting, FBI, because I did call the Department of Justice today, and apparently Avi is going to be one of my next stops to talk evidence with. But anyway, you see for over 8 years, then here's the announcement where they did find hundreds of thousands of instances of spoofing where previously said they found nothing. So maybe we should take their word with a grain of salt. Although this is interesting. Ongoing indictment against Michael Novak, former global head of JP Morgan, who has a RICO charge. And you can see that in 2010, the CFTC looked the other way when interviewing him, sat for 2 days of interviews with CFTC investigators and explaining the bank's trading strategy. They said, to your knowledge, have traders at JP Morgan in the metals groups put up bids and offers to the market, which they didn't intend to execute and then pulled them? And he said, no. I don't know if that was the entire investigation. Again, here is the Department of Justice. They call it tens of thousands of incidents. CFTC labeled it hundreds of thousands. But it seems like this investigation wasn't particularly tough, although it makes you wonder, David Meister, who shut down the CFTC investigation into silver and has now turned up representing Michael Novak in the Department of Justice case, which would seem a little conflicting. I don't know if that is related, but I would agree with Ronan Manley. You can't make this stuff up. So anyway, there's Beavis and Butthead. Perhaps we could get them as the acting commissioner or secretary treasury, and that would bring a little more integrity into the markets. Here's Russ again, talking about, with respect to precious metals, he's closely monitoring. And there was one other highlight in here that I wanted to mention. Come on, CFTC reportedly investigating after those prices rose dramatically in recent weeks. It's weird that the price gets carpet bombed and there's never an investigation over that. But anyway, retail interest in silver may derive at least in part from a desire to punish institutional traders who the retail traders believe are suppressing prices to benefit their short position. I don't know if that's just that the retail traders believe that. That was actually slipped into the amendment changes of the SIVR prospectus. So anyway, any CFTC or DOJ investigation will likely include close scrutiny of communications by retail traders for potential coordinated trading price manipulation. I'm curious, many of you saw that I went through those old Deutsche Bank transcripts on Friday or Saturday night, which were pretty damning. I wonder if the CFTC has gone through the JP Morgan transcripts during their hundreds of thousands of spoofing occasions, because while they've been fined, there's been no criminal action, yet they want to go through trading records and they're harassing the Reddit traders run by a rather inspirational 23-year-old man when the CFTC thinks that they're the bad guy. I would disagree, and I will explain why shortly. So anyway, there you go on that one. Although here would be my question for the CFTC that I don't get, because while they're searching for all this evidence, here again is the redacted version of the evidence submission I sent on February 12th, which goes through the events of February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and 4th, and 5th, as well as January 27, 28, 9, quite clearly, I thought. I also made a video about it that many of you guys have seen. I believe I'll be making this publicly available shortly. We're just getting there. Here you see a lot of volume dropped. This is how Bart Chilton defined spoofing. So same time they're investigating the Reddit traders, here's the evidence that they have had and yet have not acted on. And interestingly, I did follow up. And if you can see here, or not even dear Mr. Marcus, just we did receive, unfortunately, we were unable to provide you with any status updates other than we refer all to the Division of Enforcement. If any information you provide is deemed actionable, enforcement staff may open an investigation. Please feel free to contact. So I'm going to call this to 866-873-5675 number sometime this week and just get the opportunity to hear on the phone that they're not doing anything. But at least I'm keeping track of when these things were sent in. I've left voicemails for Commissioner Benham and Commissioner Berkovitz. And I'm going to make sure at least that they get them on the record that they in particular are aware that I've submitted this evidence on February 12th, the dates of who I've spoken to make sure it was received, and that you see the crime continuing to happen, especially because this was interesting. Someone had written in and sent this link that federal agents can be sued when they violate your rights. The Supreme Court ruled in Tanzin versus Tanvir, basically may sue a group of FBI agents for damages after government officials put them on translation that basically when government agency blatantly ignores their oath or job responsibilities, like I feel the CFTC is doing, apparently you can sue them for damages. So I know the Reddit traders, rather than doing anything out of character, has been kindly reminding some of the CFTC commissioners of that legal code. Hopefully, if they become aware that people actually are watching and not just pointing at the nameless, faceless agency of the CFTC, but that they're actually Commissioner Benham and the other ones there and whoever's responsibility it is that there is a crime happening, it's being ignored. And we'll see how that goes, because let's look at these ruffians. First of all, how about a handout to Kinesis Money? Donated 1,000 ounces of silver for advertising. I believe they're doing that every month, which is truly incredible. So, but I came over here today and I was flipping through there. 1,000 ounce I just took delivery on. So there's a picture of that. And here, you know, you see some fun stuff. And then Comex warehouse continues to drain 1.6 million ounces removed Monday. And then you click on it. I mean, this is actually, it was amazing as I'm going through this today. I'm like, this is the website I've wanted for years, because here it's not just someone, rambling on, it's manipulated, this and that. I mean, there's links, there's data, there's follow-up commentary. So if you have an idea and you want to discuss it with people, I haven't seen any of the stuff that I see on some other message boards where, everyone's just trolling each other. I mean, a lot of people that want to learn, and you can post a topic, you can interact with people. Certainly, I can associate that hundreds of people, or maybe not hundreds, at least many tell me, I'm sure hundreds were thinking it. Oh, I like that, buy silver on the back of that people feel like they're the lone wolf in their hometown all the time. And look at how these guys have brought together this forum that, there's fun stuff, there's serious stuff, there's information, and created January 29th. So 39,000 people in a month. I haven't seen anything that seems inappropriate to me. In fact, it seems like a great source of information. Maybe the banks and the CFTC are worried that the truth is going to come out, and that's why they're applying pressure. I will ask them directly if I can get anyone on the phone. I'm not trying to do anything behind anyone's back, but just reporting honestly what I feel is relevant to report. So kudos to Wall Street Silver and my good friend Ivan over there. We're going to get him back on the show. We're actually looking about doing a partnership, maybe get some Arcadia vision here. So while you're on Wall Street Silver, you can have the video feed as well. So exciting things happening. And also exciting next Thursday, or no, this Thursday, in 2 days, the Global Markets Advisory Committee will hold a public meeting on Tuesday, March 11th via teleconference. Ooh. Members of the public may access a live feed via phone. Now, I don't know if there's going to be access to questions there, but I'll put that on the calendar, see if I can get a question in there to Ross. Thursday, March 11th, 9 a.m. Eastern. So that's on the CFTC's page. Speaking of things I might want to ask the CFTC about, appreciate this text last night. I hadn't seen that there were 2 articles from Market Watch about silver. Orwellian 1984 mentions Jack Denton, the author, had almost no report on precious metals before this February. However, he published 2 I'm assuming that's widely covered reports against silver within 14 hours at Market Watch on February 1st and 2nd. And here is the one on the 1st. Wall Street Bets has silver in its sight, but here's why the speculative rush may be short-lived, says analyst. I wonder who the analyst was. Although I would say the analyst turned out to be incorrect, judging by we still have escalating signs of tightness, basically every section of the market. And then here, when you see, this is interesting. I'm going to get some numbers on this, but that this came out on February 2nd, because not only was there a lot of buying on February 2nd, I'll double check this, but I mean, I think you could make the case that that was the most silver demand on a single day in the history of silver trading, because you had the SLV. That was February 2nd was the day that 61 million ounces were reportedly added into the SLV trust. Now 35 on Friday, the 29th of January, had blown away the previous record, which was 20. And it was 35 on Friday, 20 on Monday, and then 61 on Tuesday the 2nd, which is when I started thinking there's clearly something not adding up here. I'll ask Andy and maybe a couple other bullion dealers if they can have records of, the past month. And I would think the 2nd is at least close to the top of the list. I remember on the 1st, that was when I asked Jana Sheckman of Miles Franklin. And I said specifically, is this the most demand in the history of the company you've seen today? And she just wrote back, it's like toilet paper in 2020, referencing Corona. So I'm guessing, again, the price came down 10% on the 2nd. So I'll get some numbers behind that. But I mean, you could make a case, if not the most silver demand in the history of silver trading, at least near the top, certainly at least from the ETF perspective, which JP Morgan's actually the lead in that. or the custodian for most of those trusts, including SLV. So I would love to ask the CFTC at their meeting about that. That's a question that I have. It seems easily to look up. Although here's another thing I found interesting in some research over the weekend when I was making that video. See, CFTC names Ralston Benham acting commissioner. That was January 21st. So looks like he joined the CFTC back in 2017, I believe. But okay, was nominated to be a commissioner July of 2017. And anyway, so 9 days before Silver Squeeze and everything that happened and the Reddit rascals is when Chairman Benham came into place and Tarbert left. So I don't know if there's anything unusual about that. I haven't heard directly from the CFTC. If they tell me, I will let you know. There is their indication that they plan to tell me nothing. Here's a story. Bank of America and Morgan Stanley win dismissal of metals spoofing litigation. Getting a little late, and I'm a bit thirsty for some water here, but we'll keep going. Now, keep in mind, at least as I'm reading this article, it doesn't seem that there's anything indicating that the banks were not guilty, but the judge basically was leaning on filed long after the 2-year federal statute of limitations had run out. So, I mean, the CFTC, they took them 10 years to find the evidence after 4 investigations, and they get that money. But here the judge seems to be very held to the legal timelines rather than doing what would seem right. I mean, again, this is okay, not Deutsche Bank in this one, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, but the judge said the clock had begun ticking by 2016 when a lawsuit alleging manipulation was filed by lawyers in the same Manhattan courthouse. They knew of the harm as early as 2016. Lehman, I think that's the judge. Yes, Bix was mentioning this. This is weird. See, here's Judge Lewis Lemon. They knew of the harm as early as 2016. They just did not know the identity of everyone who perpetrated it. The wrong itself was not concealed. So he's saying they can't make a claim for what it seems like he's acknowledging a crime because he started the clock before they didn't even know who they could charge. And the CFTC is investigating the Reddit traders. This is almost, I mean, it's stunning. When I was leaving Wall Street, it was like, all right, this is wackier than I ever thought. But I mean, it's like morphing into Biff's world from Back to the Future 2. Bank of America paid $25 million. You know, they pay a couple million just on February 2nd alone, when silver were first and second, when silver goes up and down $3, they claim 118 million shares were added into SLV. So 3 times 118 million, if that's even close to the right calculation, that's 354 million. And these got Deutsche Bank paid out 38 million last year. JP Morgan, when they pay money to the CFTC, and we do know where that money allegedly went to, which I will get to in a second. But I mean, this is just wild. Here we have, yes, I brought this one up because the CFTC now is on the Texas blackout. Goldman, Bank of America made hundreds of millions from the Texas blackout. People did die from those blackouts. And the second night my power was off, I went downtown. I actually saw the Bank of America building lit up downtown while people were out of power, at least for the second night, some longer. I mean, the entire section of town, they made hundreds of millions. Their parking garage and sign and lights were lit up. They made hundreds of million and people died. I'm not sure how that's not murder if there's a more direct cause and effect here, but it doesn't look good. Goldman involved, writing about Enron, and certainly won't get into it tonight, but I have a lot of questions and some video evidence that be curious to see if they ever look into. We'll see what the CFTC does with that, but I know they're busy with Reddit. Maybe they're reading the forum since there's so much good information provided here that could help them understand what's going. Although my guess is they'll just, oh, wow, look at this. Beware the Ides of March, how to protect yourself from this new form of, yeah, I'm curious what they have cooked up for the Ides of March. With some of my friends, I have an office pool going. I got the student loan reset box. My friend Joe, he got the darn bond collapse box, which I keep trying to. I've offered him 3 ounces of silver for that box, which he paid 1 ounce for, and so far he's playing hardball, but we'll see. Anyway, last one before we wrap up here. Here is the announcement from the Department of Justice. And do we have the breakdown in here? Because of that 920 million, they split it into 3 buckets, which includes a civil monetary penalty of approximately 436 million. And there's a couple links. It doesn't mention it on this one, but there actually is a victim disbursement fund, of which was put aside 311 million that I'm guessing most people don't know about. Yeah, there you go. Victim compensation, 311 million. Now, what the CFTC is doing with the rest of that money is a question I would personally love to know the answer to. But I did call the number that is somewhere on here, 888-549-3945, to get some more information. It was interesting. Where are my notes here? I talked with the guy there for a while. It was actually quite friendly and nice. And first of all, if you have any questions, victimassistant.fraud@usdoj.gov, and I will be following up there. It looks like this is limited only to COMEX trades. So if you had physical or mining stocks or GLD or SLV, at least according to the fellow I talked with there, that is not covered here, which makes you wonder if the banks have been spoofing gold and silver, and have they been held accountable for that? Does not feel that way to me. I think their actions certainly impacted a lot of my positions, and I don't trade COMEX futures because of the fraud that I feel is inherent within there. So anyway, not completely surprising, but they said you need COMEX a tag 50, whatever that means. Hopefully if you trade it, but provide proof of trades that were affected, copies of trading records. And then before I hung up, I said, I was saying how I'm kind of confused because it seems like exactly what they got caught doing continues to happen regularly. And I was saying, what does one do if they have evidence? They've submitted it to the CFTC. They can't get any answer from the CFTC except that they're investigating the Reddit traders. What do you do if I have evidence that the CFTC is not fulfilling their oath? How does one handle that? I choose to do things in a as best as I can figure, an honest, appropriate, moral way. I don't own a gun. I don't want to own a gun. I don't ever want to do anything outside of peaceful, honest. And that's what I think is getting harder for me to accept, where, here it is, the thing happens over and over. And anyway, they said to contact tips.fbi.gov, which I will do. That's why I mentioned Avi Perry before. I don't know if he's listed on this one, but apparently he seems to be the main guy from the FBI, which I learned today. The FBI is the enforcement wing of the Department of Justice. So I will send the evidence there and see how that goes, but at least I'll continue getting it on the record, making notes of who received what and when. Did also have a meeting with a group of lawyers this morning. And it's interesting because I've talked with a couple so far. And while they have optimism, it's kind of like I'll explain what's happening and usually be like, yes, well, though we don't have, this piece of evidence, or it's hard to prove this or that, which I get legally. Although right before I started recording that thing, I was thinking, if with the stuff that I point out and the fact that these banks have already been caught doing it, if it's hard to get anything to even stop it, let alone punish the people who are doing it with evidence, and again, hey, I'm not saying critical of the lawyer, but I mean, just if the system is set up that you can see what's going on, you can provide evidence to the regulators, and still nothing happens. It's kind of like, gee, I mean, it's amazing you don't have even more fraud in these markets. Apparently, you can like go in there and kill someone and get away with it. I mean, I get it. You don't want to convict someone who is, innocent, but it's just amazing to me that with what is happening and what's going on, and, with any common sense, if you just look at these charts, let alone the evidence that's been submitted, make videos at the yin yang, which fortunately I make them for the people watching, not the CFTC, which I think is really what's important. But that just struck me as amazing that that's the way it's set up. But hey, such is how things go. And in either case, I will continue to respond peacefully. And perhaps I'm really, as we wrap up tonight, I'm quite excited about what's coming on the other side of this. I had a fun call with someone I really enjoyed talking with yesterday. And, again, there's the things that the banks do. But I'm really excited. I mean, I think before this ever gets to court, that the market will solve this. It seems to me like it's coming a lot sooner than later. So in either case, that's the best part, is that while we can't control what other people do, we can take our own actions, take accountability, take care of ourselves. And I'll at least share whatever I find. Hopefully that will help make that easier. Appreciate you all being here tonight. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay posted, because especially you'll want to see tomorrow when a video is released about if the Federal Reserve actually defaulted on Myanmar's gold. So that's coming your way. Thanks again to Bluestone for bringing us this video tonight. And to find out a little bit more about them, there is a video with Jack Lundin coming your way now.